Yay.
Beautiful. It is 12 o'clock and it's time again for TNT. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see you all. And I hope you've been having a good week so far. Pretty hot out by me. Could be hot by you as well. Today, Bill's not on, but I have my lovely co-help here. First, I have Jennifer Neitzel from Signing Agent Marketing. Hi, Jen. How you doing?
Hey, Laura. I am fantastic. Thank you so much for inviting me to co-host with you and Vanessa today.
I love it. And of course, it takes three of us to replace Bill and I.
Of course.
And we've got Vanessa, right? Terry?
Yes, Vanessa Terry.
Okay. So she's going to help field questions today as well, so that we have just a little bit of something different going on today. So if you whether you have loan signing types of questions, or you have specialty work kinds of questions, or other general notary work kinds of questions, any and all of those are welcome. You know how to do it. First of all, you're going to use the reactions button to raise your hand so that we can call on you and we don't step all over each other when we talk. Second thing is, I ask, please, would you stay muted until it's your turn to speak, so we can clearly hear the person asking the question. And for you, the person asking the question, if you could tell us what your question is, starting with, hi, my question is, and then if we need more information, we will ask for it if we don't think we know enough to help you with that. And that way we can get to everybody. We're already at 105. We're usually well over 200 for participants, and we want to make sure we get to everybody. So if you're intending to ask a question, get those hands raised right now. But before we answer those questions, I would love to have a little bit of time for Vanessa to introduce herself and talk a little bit about what you're doing and how you help people and your business. What's going on with you?
Oh, thank you. My name is Vanessa Terry, and I am founder and trainer at Notary to Notary. And I help people all over the country learn how to build notary businesses. So we focus on general notary work, e-notary, loan closing. That's my thing. I'm like all things notary.
Okay, fabulous. And how would somebody reach you at Notary to Notary, Vanessa?
You can find us on like every social media channel that exists, including TikTok. And you can also go to notarytonotary.com. That's where you see everything that we have going on: live events, online trainings, resources, things like that. Notary #2 Notary.
Beautiful. By the way, she was a speaker at the NNA conference last week, and I was able to step in for about half of one of them. And boy, did she have the room rocking and rolling on general notary work. It was really lovely to see somebody else besides me putting out that message that there is a lot of opportunity out there besides loan signing. So Vanessa, you did a fantastic job. I know that NNA loved what you presented and we heard great feedback. So it was good to see it in action.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome. Jen, why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing?
Well, thank you so much, Laura. I am Jen Neitzel. I am the creator of Signing Agent Marketing. We have an exclusive 5-point marketing plan that teaches you how to build relationships with title directly. And that is the focus of Signing Agent Marketing. And along with Laura and Bill, I'm also co-founder of Notary Business Builder. We had an excellent time at the conference. We had a chance to speak in a Notary Business Builder room. It was an awesome experience. But while I've got Vanessa and I've got the mic for a second, I got to say, Vanessa, I heard the most amazing things about your presentation. So congratulations. And you just had everybody saying the best things. So I'm really excited for you. This is your time, girlfriend.
Yay. I love it.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jen. And just by the way, if you don't know who I am, I'm Laura Biewer. I'm founder of Coach Me, Laura, and I help notaries be confident and competent in their notary skills, regardless of the notary business they choose, whether it's loan signing or general or specialty notary work. I'm also one of the co-founders for Notary Business Builder, and boy, is that really a good time and a lot of good learning going on. So if you want to know more about that, you can just go to notarycoach.com/NBB. All right, we've got a couple of hands up, so we're going to start rolling now. And I'm going to start with Fatima. If you would unmute yourself and tell us what state you're in first.
Hi, Laura. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm from New Jersey, and I just want to say thank you guys. This is an awesome forum that you guys present every Tuesday, first and foremost. But I have a question, and my question is, I recently received a request, I guess you would call it, to do what they call a Texas cash out refi. What is the difference? I've never received that. So can anybody help me about that process and how is it different from doing regular?
Okay, well, let's see if Jen can take a stab at it for you, Fatima.
Fatima, hi. I am also in Texas. Where are you in Texas, Fatima?
I'm not. That's the thing. I'm in New Jersey.
You're in New Jersey and you got a request for a Texas cash out. So Texas has a specific loan. It's actually, the technical term is an A6 loan. We call them Texas cash outs. They have very specific rules about them. One of which is the loan inside the state of Texas has to be closed inside a title office. Is it a primary residence that you're closing, or is it a secondary home?
It's a primary residence that I'm closing. It's in my town. It's in New Jersey, but not my town.
Okay. So are the people, I guess, living in New Jersey?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I'm assuming. And that's why I have a big question mark about it myself. So that's really
it sounds funny. Here's the reason we have them set up this way in Texas. The reason it's different than just a regular, take cash out of your home or a HELOC or something like that. The state of Texas is a community property state. So they've set up these Texas cash out loans where both parties have to be present at the signing. And it's to prevent one party from stealing money out of what's presumably a couple's largest assets and stealing it from the other person. That's basically the bottom line. It is a different type of loan. You're going to see a couple of documents in there. One's called a 12-day document because they have to have certain disclosures within 12 days of closing the loan. It's nothing for you to be concerned about. And Vanessa, you may be able to answer this because it's been a minute since I've done a cash out. I think it's only inside the state of Texas. Are they requesting, Fatima, that you do this in a title office, or can you do this at their home?
They at their home at this point.
Okay. Usually in the state of Texas, as a primary residence, the rule here is that those Texas cash outs have to be closed in an attorney's office or the title office. They're not allowed to be closed in a home. So Vanessa, do you know if they can do that? You're on mute, honey.
No, I said I don't know. I don't want us to give you the wrong answer, but
Okay.
I'm going to look into it.
And that's why I wanted to ask. So Fatima, the only thing I would, if you'll just give me a minute, I can look it up. I don't want to make the assumption. I just can't remember off the top of my head if you need to do it in an attorney's office or not.
Okay.
Back in the chat in a minute, I'll look it up for you.
Okay.
All right.
Everything else, you should be just fine. You should be just fine. You're just going to see a couple of extra documents you're not used to seeing. And they're just disclosures. It's nothing. The main stuff is all the same.
Okay.
All right. So while Jen is looking that up for you, I'm going to go on to Paula and then we'll come back to you. So Fatima, if you mute yourself for now, and we'll come back to you when Jen has an answer. And Paula, if you would unmute.
Hey, everybody, I'm Paula from Los Angeles. Mine's kind of, I think, an easier question, but it keeps coming up and I'm not 100% sure. The documents all come in the correct address, if it's a refinance or auto or whatever it is. but Mr. and or Mrs. borrower have not changed their address from their old address on their driver's license to the due one. So using that, so what I've been doing, and I don't know if it's legal, illegal, or I'm doing it right, is I always write down what's on the driver's license in my book, and then I write, but I've moved and or signing at, and then I write the new address in. Is that okay, or is that not okay?
So Paula, since I'm in California, let me tell you that the address part in the journal for California is not a required element. So you can put whatever you want. You could put what's on the driver's license and then put now at this address. What I focus on is where I'm meeting them, which is usually their house. I don't
Right.
worry about the address on the license because that's common for most people to not have it updated and it's incorrect. So I put the address where I've met them.
Okay, so I don't have to write both of them.
You don't have to put both.
That's what I've been doing, just I figured just in case.
And it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect, thank you.
you're so welcome. Thanks for being with us today. All right, Janet.
Yes. Hi, Laura. This is probably going to be a question directly for you. I'm in California, as you can see. I had a trust signing that was, I work with someone that does trusts, and she sent me to a client that was in the hospital, and which was not a problem. But, you know, of course, I would go through my spiel. Is the person alert? Yada, yada, yada. Are they incapacitated? Yada, yada. You know, I went through the spiel. So as I'm getting off the elevator with the wife, she then disclosed to me that her husband is paralyzed from the neck down. So of course I look at her, I'm like, well, I was wondering why she didn't disclose this to me. So she thought that she was going to be able to sign for him. Now, I don't know if I should have asked her, did she have a power of attorney in addition to, because we were going to be signing a power of attorney that was actually in the trust document. So I assume that no, she didn't. And I'm like, well, ma'am, you're not going to be able to sign for him. She said, well, he can hold the pen and he can make, you know, a mark, or not a mark, but just he can try to sign his signature. Because I was thinking I could have did a signature by mark had I known he was having problems signing. So of course I had a witness with me, but I didn't have a second witness because I would not be able to do it. So this man was about to go into surgery that day. They were not sure if he was going to make it. So I tried to go in and accommodate to try to get him to be able to sign. He was able to scribble a little bit, couldn't make the signature out well. I didn't really know what to do. I tried to proceed as best I could. He was getting tired, of course. We're propping him up. We're doing everything we could for him. So I'm not sure what I should have done in that case. I mean, I tried to go through it as much as I could, but I'm just not really comfortable about whether or not this really was a good signing for me, for this particular client.
Well, I certainly wouldn't say it's a good signing, but before I share my opinion, Vanessa, do you want to share anything about that?
So the thing that first popped in my head was you could have done the two witness, and anyone can witness. Well, I'm always careful because California's,
yeah, we're
you know, a lot in California, but in most states, yeah. So in most states, anybody can witness. And I've been in situations like that where, you know, a witness didn't show up or we needed a witness, and literally anyone can witness. So a lot of times if they're in the hospital, sometimes hospital staff will do it. Some hospitals won't because they'll say, oh, it's a conflict of interest and they can't do it. But as long as their witness is over 18, you could have them do like the make a mark, make the X, and have those two witnesses to do it, you know, with him. That's the first thing that popped in my head with that.
Okay. Yeah, and sometimes you can get family if they're not in a private room, the family visiting another patient might be willing. When it's one or two documents, that's not too big a deal. When it's a whole trust, that's a long
trust.
Somebody to witness every single signature. So you're probably not likely. I do a lot of hospital work. I've yet to find one that they're willing to witness the documents, hospital staff.
Yeah, they won't. Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a no for them.
Knowing that, the one thing I want to say is that she put you in a bad position, and it's not your fault if you could not carry through, because that should have been disclosed prior. But here's what I'm going to say to you as a notary is that Why, is that is a screening question that's on my intake form. I always ask, can the signer sign his name unassisted? So I would open that up. If they don't disclose it, I'm asking for it before I've left my house.
Yeah, I'm changing I asked, was he incapacitated? Maybe that was not the right.
Well, it's two different things. Yeah, Janet, two different things.
Yeah, so.
One is he alert and aware?
I asked that. He was.
Instead of incapacitated. The second part is, can he sign his name unassisted? Make it easy for the signer
to know.
Right? Incapacitated, that she may not have understood. Yeah, he knows.
Yeah. Because for her not to disclose that, I just thought that was it made me a little like, well, why are you not? Well, that's something that but she told me she did tell the person that sent me that information. I'm like, well, I was wondering, well, then why wouldn't they tell me? So
why doesn't matter? Why does not matter, right? All that matters is, what can you learn from this? Because you're already done with it, right? And you did the best that you could do with what you had to work with and what you knew how to do. So I applaud you for that. What I want to help you with is, what can we learn from this lesson? What can everybody else learn from this event, so that none of us are in that position? One is, you need to proactively ask, because signers don't disclose everything. They lie.
Yes,
it happens.
They do.
So it's your job to uncover everything up front, and having a really good intake form where you're always asking the same questions over and over is a good way not to miss that. So that's one lesson I hope everybody from this.
I got that one.
The second one is, excuse me. Somebody asked.
I have one more to add to that, Laura. Okay. Now, what if she had told me she actually did have a power of attorney?
Turkey burger.
So,
someone.
Valerie, can you mute yourself, please?
Oh yeah, teriyaki. Yeah. What's up?
Or Jen, can you find Valerie and mute her?
A little bit of.
I want some teriyaki.
Rice, Mexican,
if we can get her to be muted. And so what happens sometimes, guys, I don't know if you're aware, but sometimes Zoom will just unmute you. It's not like she clicked her button to unmute herself. So pay attention to that little red thing in the bottom of your screen if you start talking or taking a call, because we'll hear everything. So Janet, back to you. You had one other thing you wanted.
Yes, I said, so what if she had told me that she had a power of attorney?
Well, if she has a power of attorney, she could have signed for him. But there are, if she is the power of attorney, the next power of attorney, I don't think she could be the signer for that. So that's more of a legal question that I think would have to be answered by an attorney, not by me. But there are certain things that an attorney, in fact, cannot sign. And I think it's to act as the signer for a power of attorney that they're listed as the attorney. In fact, I think that's an issue, but that's my opinion. May not be law.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows, sometimes we get into these things and then we have to climb out of it. We have to just do the best we can with the resources we have. One resource would be, do you have hotline? Did you happen to reach out to them to find out if there were some alternatives? That would be a resource. Of course, the good intake form before you get there is a good resource. And the third thing is, sometimes you just can't help. And I mean, sometimes you have to say, you know what, this is beyond what I can handle. And it's not my fault if I can't proceed. So I just want you to think about those things. Jen, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that you absolutely are correct. And you're right. It's a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
And now, you know, something like that happens.
Definitely no.
You know, it's unfortunate, but Laura's right. Those borrowers will bend situations. You know, your job is being a person of integrity, right? And I'm really glad you brought this up. It's a great topic to discuss.
Okay.
Vanessa, did you have anything more you wanted to add? Oh, you're muted, hon.
Again. Okay. No, I was going to add that you were right with the power of attorney. You can't sign a power, it depends on your state, but like in Virginia, you can't do that. So you can't use the power of attorney for them. And then also, if you are going to use the power of attorney,
I
just know
keep
the law for their
reminding them
state, like
that-
typically you would
Nosotros
sign it,
you
their
guys
name
forgot
with
that we have
attorney
to take,
fact. So not just signing their name. So just know what the law is in your state as far as how they're supposed to execute that power of attorney.
Right, and they probably could have helped with that particular answer. I just didn't have my resources right here at hand. So thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
And thank you, Janet, for giving us all a chance to chew this over, because we're all gonna face it one
Yes.
time or another.
All
Okay,
right.
now,
Thank
Jen, do you have an answer for Fatima? Or did I interrupt you?
I am waiting to hear back because
Okay.
Fatima, everything I found online is telling me that it needs to be in a title office. But I reached out to my go-to mortgage person here in Texas. I just sent her a text and she will get back to me. But Fatima, would you do me a favor? Would you please put your email in the chat? And on the off chance I don't hear back from her, I will email you as soon as I do.
Hey guys, this is Carrie. Can I interject with that for a minute? Can you
Who
guys
is
hear
it?
me?
Yeah, hey Carrie.
It's Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie.
I kind of look at that situation like the same way those attorney states, require that attorneys, attend or do those particular loans or the refis. It has to be an attorney's office or whatever. I spoke with an attorney. This was not too long ago, maybe about 6 months ago. A refi in one of the attorney states, I can't remember which. And I asked him, because he called me to make sure that we were on schedule for the closing, blah, blah, blah. And I says, I'm in Illinois. I says, I've run across this situation before. Illinois law kind of trumps everything else as far as the signer signing here. Your presence is really not required unless, we're actually in your state. And he agreed with me. I kind of wish I would have got it in writing, but he said, and then I says, well, as a courtesy, if you want to stay on the phone, if they do have any questions, obviously, that's your cue, whatever. But I kind of look at the situation the same way. I mean, and that's why I typed in the chat, kind of like notary home base, wherever the notary is, with the exceptions of, extra witnesses like Florida, needing an extra witness like on the mortgage. I think that's where the notary should concentrate as far as like the notary laws within their state. Again, I could be wrong, but I've been doing this, a long time, and I've kind of, that's my conclusion of it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like I said, I could be wrong, but if it was me, I don't think she's gonna have a problem doing it in her state. I mean, unless they tell her otherwise in the notary instructions. Does that make sense?
Hey guys, this is Garrett Smith in New Mexico. Can I tag on to Carrie real quick about this Texas refi thing?
Hi.
Right.
Hi. So being that I'm in a neighboring state, I do a lot of Texas refis. And I have done them in the borrower's homes. I have done them in Starbucks. I have done them anywhere you can imagine. I have never once had a title officer in Texas ask that I do it at a title office or at a lawyer's office or anything else. I have done a ton of Texas refis.
Are you
Okay,
doing a Texas
Garrett.
refi or are you doing a Texas cash out? Those are two different things.
A Texas cash out. I'm talking about a Texas cash out.
Okay.
Exactly what you're talking about. And being that I'm in the neighboring state of New Mexico, and there's a lot of people in New Mexico that will be traveling through New Mexico and will stop for the night, and I'll do a cash out refi form, or they'll have a second home in Texas, or their second home is in New Mexico and their first home is in Texas, et cetera, whatever it is. And I've done a lot of Texas cash out refis since I've been a notary. And I've never once had a title officer request that I do it in a title office or a lawyer's office, and never once had it come back to me because it wasn't done in a title office or a lawyer's office. That's just my experience as a New Mexico notary.
Thank you, Garrett. And of course, that leads us to think, well, maybe that's going to be just fine. But when we get Jen's answer back, then we can put a lid on it. In the
Yeah.
meantime, we're going to sit on that and we're going to move on to some other questions. So thank you very much, everybody who shared. Lori is next. And yes, Lori is next. Lori, we cannot understand you. I'm sorry, Lori, but you're not coming through. It's like you're in the, what do they call that?
Matrix. That's what somebody would have with that. Yeah. Lori, can you type your question in chat for us?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, good idea. Lori, would you chat to us so that we can hear your question and respond to it?
Laura and Jen, can I tag on to Garrett's conversation about the cash outs in Texas?
Well, can we just hold on that conversation?
Okay.
Until we get an answer, so we can answer other people's questions. Otherwise I'll be stuck on this one question the whole call. All right, okay. So Lori, did she text it in?
She did, and it's also about the Texas cash out, and I appreciate everybody's input, and I know that sometimes these loans are closed, you know, in title offices, even though they're not supposed to be. I just want to clarify the law so that I give Fatima the correct answer. So I appreciate you guys all giving us the feedback on this. We will circle back to this when I hear back from the person I texted to find out. I just want to answer her specific question for New Jersey with the primary residence in Texas. So keeping in mind that this only applies to primary residences, not second homes. There's all different kinds of scenarios, and I appreciate you guys all bringing it up, but we will circle back to that, as Laura said, as soon as we get an answer. So thank you for your patience.
Thank you, guys. So in the meantime, Henry, why don't you unmute?
Good afternoon, ladies. This is Henry from New York. Got a question. I had a signing about a week ago. I'm in New York. The signer is in New York. Properties in Florida. So the deed required 2 witnesses. Notary can be 1 witness. I informed the signer that they would need a second witness. They told me they didn't have one. So I reached out to the title company and told them possibility we won't have a second witness. They told me continue with the signing, and if by the time we're done, if a second witness didn't show up, just reach out to them. Second witness didn't show, so I called them. They told me, well, just proceed, do your first witness, and we'll take care of the second witness on the other end. And I'm just trying to figure out if that's something that's common. You know, I don't know, maybe Vanessa probably can enlighten me on this.
Yeah, so we do a lot of Florida closings with my signing service, and they do have that 2-person witness requirement for some properties. What I would recommend, so when you get that order, you call and see if the borrower has another witness. If they don't, then you can usually bring your own person. So a lot of notaries will just tell title, hey, the borrower doesn't have a second witness. Can you throw on an extra 25, 30 bucks or whatever for me to bring somebody with me? And then that usually takes care of that. So I usually have all my notaries just do that, because a lot of people don't have a second witness. That witness could be anybody. It could be a neighbor. It could be, you know, someone in the family that's over the age of 18. So it could be anybody. But that's usually how all our notaries are able to avoid that situation. I'm not 100% sure of what the title company was planning to do with it. And like I said, I don't know the legalities of title companies and what they can do in Florida with that rule. So I would say if anyone else knows, they can chime in, but that's how we're able to
most of the time the notary can be the second witness or one of witness.
Yeah, they can witness one and they need another one. Yeah. So, oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Vanessa, my understanding was that second witness couldn't be related to the signers or have any financial conflict. Maybe I got it wrong.
Well, I would go by what your title company is telling you to do. Typically, when we have worked with title companies in Florida, they say, of course, they cannot have any financial benefit. So they cannot be listed on the property or have, or what's it called? Be gaining in any way financially, but they are allowed to use, like, I'm trying to think who, like a cousin or aunt, or typically people just grab their neighbors is what they usually are allowed to do, but not like, trying to think who you would, like, it wouldn't be, like, say the wife is doing it, the husband couldn't be a witness, even if she's only one on the deed. They typically don't do that. But I would also just double check with the title company and just clear that with them to make sure that that's good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking that, Henry. And there are a few states where their statutes specifically state the notary cannot be the witness and the notary in the same document. There's a handful of them. Then there's most of them that just don't address it. And when they don't address it, it's possible, if you are comfortable with it, to act as the second witness. However, you'll never get that as a recommendation from the NNA hotline. It's always best to have another pair of eyes other than your own on that document. Okay, so Phil, what's up with you?
Hey.
Phil, are you there?
I am here. Thank you, Laura. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining us last night. It was great. We had a nice little crowd of people that enjoyed hearing from you. But I just want to make everyone aware, as you know, every day or every Tuesday, when TNT is not dark, when you're not busy gallivanting to Las Vegas and Michigan and Montana and all Philadelphia. Looking forward to Philadelphia, Laura. But today, 5 minutes after Tuesday, Notary Titans, we will be doing a Zoom where we'll teach you how to protect and grow your business. Most of you know I was on Bill's Side Hustle Lounge, and we talk about multiple streams of income. So please join me there. I'll put my phone number in the chat in case you'd like to text. And obviously, most of you are aware that the information is on thenotarycoach.com/TNT. All the way down the bottom, Bill has a Zoom link directly to that presentation. So thanks so much for everything you guys do, and appreciate seeing you, and look forward to seeing you soon. I'm going to be in Modesto tomorrow, actually speaking to the Rotary group in Modesto.
Well, I'll be in Sacramento tomorrow.
We're never in the same place at the same time.
I know. Whoever asked, I am going to be in Philly as well.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Phil. Okay.
Thank you.
Marquella? Just unmute yourself. There you go.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Fabulous.
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Okay, so my question, so I have two questions. One is for Vanessa. So I've started my loan signing business probably about 1.5 years ago. And I've just been kind of like doing it on the side because I do have a full-time job, but I have cut back on my full-time job to focus on building my business. And I kind of feel like I'm just like kind of all over the place a little bit. So I was just wondering, any tips that you can give me on feeling more just stable or more organized? Yeah.
You mean just with like all over the place with the different tiers that you can get into the notary space, or you mean like organization, like time management and like schedules?
I guess more like as time management. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I live by my Google Calendar. I recommend using that. As I know, when you get into like notary signing agents, when you start work with signing services, sometimes they'll have different platforms they're sending you orders on, and it can be confusing. And so I put all of my signings on one place, which is Google Calendar. And that's how I'm able to see where I'm going. And Google is so cool because you can put in the address of where you're going, the phone number. So when you're in your car, it's literally just taking you to the next spot. But then you can see when orders are coming through. You don't have to check AMROC and then Exos for start. You don't have to go to different places to see if you can do it. It's already plugged in on your Google Calendar. And then you can see if you can book people in that spot. So with scheduling, I would do that. That's like my number one, live by my Google Calendar. Like I live by my Google Calendar. If it's not on there, it's probably not happening. I would definitely
Okay.
do that.
And
Okay.
I'd just like to add to what Vanessa's talking about, since it's calendar related, is that I always look the night before, what's good, what do I have on that calendar for the next day? And where do I have openings? And do I want to block those times because I have other things to do besides an assignment? Sometimes I have administrative tasks I need to get done, so I don't want to book myself appointment to appointment to appointment to appointment because you know, we have needs, we have other things we need to do. But anyways, I always start the night before to
Right.
plan for that next day.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Jen, do you have anything to add?
I do, Markella, agree 100 billion% with both Laura and Vanessa. I live and die by my calendar. But the other thing that I started doing a few years ago that really made a difference was I started scheduling things like Laura was saying, administrative duties. I started, you know, every Friday at noon, that's my accounting time. So from 12 to 1, I stop everything I'm doing and I work in my accounting system to make sure that my week's receipts are together. Don't wait to the end of the year. I've made that mistake before. Oh my God, girl, don't ever do that. Once a week to stay on top of it. But I do that so like my morning walk or what I'm making for dinner that night, my calendar is ridiculously scheduled in all different colors, but what it does is it helps me stop and start when I need to. Otherwise, I'll get lost and, oh, I'm going to work on my social media. And 3 hours later, I look up from TikTok and, you know, I have no idea where the time's gone, right? So we're all guilty of that.
Right.
So not only just using your calendar to schedule your appointments, but the other things in your life that need to be accomplished as well. And I always start, this is me, I always start the month by putting my family things on the calendar first, so I don't miss my kids' stuff and all that.
Right.
And, you know, fill in appointments, fill in the things that have to be done on a weekly schedule every day from like, depending on the day, but usually 9 to 9:30, that's my social media time, you know? So
right. I think you kind of hit it right on the nail, Jen, because I think, and Laura and Vanessa, you guys answer my questions too. So thank you. I think that's what I was trying to ask, because I'm trying to, you know, do training courses and I'm trying to do marketing and I'm trying to, sign up for signing services. And so it's just a lot that I'm trying to do. And it's like, where do I find the time, you know? And like, that's why I said, I kind of just feel like all over the place. So yes, thank you. That helped.
It's really easy to do when you're running a business by yourself and everything falls on your shoulders, right?
Yeah.
And you feel like you've got to handle everything all at once, but really creating stopping and starting points helps me feel more focused in my day, which helps me to be more productive.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that helps you too.
Yeah, it did. Thank you. Miss Laura, my second question real quick is for you. What other materials, in addition to the basic materials that we use to complete a notary inside the hospitals or medical facilities that we should take, or what additional materials do you take?
You're talking about tools?
Yeah, tools. Yeah.
So I always carry extra readers or cheaters. You can get them at the dollar store in different powers, because a lot of times they can't find them under all the stuff that's all over their tray. Clipboard, because there's stuff all over their tray and there's nowhere to sign if I don't bring my own little portable table called a clipboard.
Okay.
I also have some additional special pens. I have a Y pen. It's kind of shaped as a Y for people who can't pull their fingers around or arthritic and they can't pull their fingers around a regular barrel pen, or at least get some of those big fat barrel pens.
Oh, okay.
Not so, their grip is easier.
Okay.
So those would be a few of the things. I also have a blind signer's guide where it's about the size of a business card. It's plastic. There's an opening inside. You put it over the signature line so that their pen doesn't, they tend to sign up instead of
Oh,
across.
I
So
see.
this keeps
Okay.
them in the right
In line. Okay.
line. So that would
Okay.
be another one that I have.
What is that called, you said?
I call it a blind signers.
A blind.
guide.
Okay.
But I got it at like an independent living center. They sell tools for people who have different kinds of disabilities. And they usually carry them. I got it on the internet myself.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank
Laura,
you.
Laura, we had a question in the chat on where do you get the Y pen?
Walmart carries them. Go online. Walmart will carry them. Sometimes you can get them from Office Max. Usually they're not like in the store. You have to get it online. Okay, Marquella, are we good?
We're good. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your time.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Oh, so I don't see any other hands up.
We do have Cynthia has her hand up. Hey, Cynthia.
Cynthia, because I'm not seeing her.
Hi.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say I am so glad to have met all of you at the NNA conference. I do have a question, but I just wanted to point that out because I took pictures with everybody that I could because I call all of y'all notary celebrities. So I was too hyped and too excited. So I enjoyed meeting you. But my question is on the calendars that you do. I heard Vanessa say use your Google Calendar. Do any of you use any other calendar, or do you just use that because it's in, with your phone, or do you do Calendly or anything like that, or what is easiest?
So I wanted to throw something in there really quick. I use Google Calendar, but I integrate my other calendars into Google Calendar. So
Okay.
if you have, and so Google will allow you to sync multiple calendars in there into your one main calendar. So if you're using anything else, it was a little complicated to figure it out, I will tell you that. But once you get everything synced in, it's all coming in one place. The only thing I will tell you I haven't figured out yet, and if any of you have, let me know. If you use Apple Calendar, it won't sync with Google for some reason.
No, Team Android over here. I know you love your iPhone. Team Android over here.
I know, but the Apple Cal won't sync with Google Cal. That's the only one I can't get to sync, but everything else syncs.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I use my Apple Calendar, my Outlook all the time. And I think it's just because it's where I started. But our family uses Picnic to schedule that, and I can sync it with that. I know Bill uses Calendly, and he syncs that with his Google Calendar. For me, I think just there's so many calendar apps out there, finding something that speaks to you that when you look at it, you're like, oh, I get this. This makes sense to me is probably the best thing to go with.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, this next person doesn't want to tell us who they are, I guess. It's iPad.
It's iPad. Team Apple.
Oh, that must be me. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, iPad, tell us what your state is.
I was hiding behind, I'm at work now, so I'm supposed to be doing something else. But anyway, I'm Team Apple, but the best, and this is my opinion, I've used probably all of them, is Fantastical. And I think the reason why I say that is for the simple fact is I don't have to know the person, but if I have their email address, it don't tell me what's on their calendar, but it lets me know if they're available. So I like that.
Okay. Well, you remained anonymous. Would you be willing to tell
I'm
us?
sorry. Maurice Wallace, North Carolina.
Thank you
so
much.
Thank you, Maurice.
Yes. All right, let me see where I'm at. And you're going to get back to Fatima later, right, Jen, when you hear back? Got a way to get to her?
I do have a way to get to Fatima. Fatima, I am going to email you, but I'm just going to tell you right now, I think the best course of action for you, Fatima, is to contact your lender on that particular loan and make sure, because I've had 2 responses and everything I looked up, and I'm not trying to cause controversy on the call. Loans, guys, every single day in this country are closed incorrectly and not
I was
following
gonna say that.
lender rules. So please understand, I know that you might be in a different state and closing cash out loans in Texas at a Starbucks. But everything I'm pointing to says you have to be in the state of Texas to close it, and it has to be in a title office. So, and I've looked at several different sets of guidelines. But Fatima, I think that really your best option is to reach out to the lender, because at the end of the day, your responsibility is not to ensure that this loan is going to be sellable to their secondary market. You need to make sure that you're performing your job as a notary correctly. And I know you're concerned about having different documents in there. I promise you, none of them are anything to worry about. There's still a rescission period, all that stuff. There's just a few extra little ones in there that are disclosures that won't throw you off at all. Just make sure you look through the package before you do it. And if you have any question about closing, it really ultimately is going to lie in the lender's lap where they decide to close that loan. But everything I'm seeing in the A6 law in the state of Texas is saying they're not even supposed to be closing them outside the state of Texas. So
can I add to you, Jen, too?
Yeah.
That it's true, loans close wrong all the time. And I, for one, I do a lot of attorney state closes for like Georgia, and I have to 50% of the time I have to like let them know, like, oh, I need an attorney, like, where's the attorney? Or the attorney won't answer the phone. It's like, oh, they have to be on the phone, and they'll be like, it's okay, do it anyway. And it's like, no, I need the attorney. Like, I need the attorney. And you gotta remember that title companies are people too. Like, they make mistakes, or they're rushing, or they're doing stuff. And so you just have to do your due diligence to know what's right. And once you know what's right, just, do the best you can and stick to it, just as long as you know.
Yeah.
Because they'll tell you, oh, go ahead and just do it.
Right. And that's exactly why, Vanessa, that I was saying to Fatima, don't ask the title company, because I think it's unfair for us to expect a title company in the state of New Jersey to understand this crazy Texas homestead law we have, right? It's all based in this homestead law that we have here. And that's unfair of them they can't, listen, you can't have a Laura Biewer that knows every state law about it in every office, right? So that's why I suggested Fatima reach out to the lender and just, make sure. But ultimately her job is to make sure the notarizations on the documents are done correctly. And as Carrie said, following the rules of the state that she is commissioned in.
Beautiful. Great answer. And that kind of answer really applies to a lot of our questions. If it's a notary question, I'm going to go to the hotline, or I'm going to go to an experienced notary who knows more than I do to see if we can figure out what the statute says about that. And if it's a title doc, we're going to go to the title company. And if it's a lender doc, we're going to look at the lender. So there's more than one place that we might have to go to. But to get to the right place the first time, think about the document you're looking at.
That's a great point. And I have a quick question, Laura. Is there a notary out there that knows more than you do?
Is there a notary where?
Is there a notary out there that knows more than you do? I didn't.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Nicola, maybe. Yeah, probably not many, but there are. Remember, it's what I know isn't just limited to what's in my head. I use resources, guys. So really, there's no miracle here. I just get the resources and I know how to use them.
Right.
And you can be very resourceful that way yourself. All right, Lisa, go ahead and unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Lisa, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I have a question that actually has to deal with non-payment and how to handle a company. I had a company that I went and did morning closing for. The lender messed up the documents. They wanted me to go out. The documents that they wanted to have placed.
I'm sorry, Lisa, lots of noise going on. Very hard to hear you.
Hello?
Okay, go ahead. Lisa, do you have some background stuff happening while you're talking to us?
No.
Okay.
It's Marty.
Can you hear me well?
We hear you now. Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, what I said is that I went to do the closing, but the lender messed up the documents. And so I let them know that they wanted me to go back out. They resent the documents, but they failed to be very specific in the documents stating to replace the incorrected documents with the new documents. She just said, here's your documents. And so I went back out, I did the job, got everything taken care of, and then they wanted to dock me for documents that didn't go back when they weren't specific about all of the other documents. She just said, here's your document packet. So I had already explained to them that that wasn't my fault. The title and lender was not clear on their instructions. And at the title company, they admitted that they were not, but still choose not to pay me what they owe me. And gotten to the point now where they've stopped responding to emails. And when you call them, you can never get anybody on the phone.
All right. Vanessa, do you have anything you'd like
So,
to?
yeah, I got all that, but I'm a little bit confused. So you did the closing with one set of docs. There was an error and they needed you to go back. And they then did they make a whole new order and say, okay, take this new set of docs, or they just give you like a couple extra pages to add into it?
What they did is I went to do the closing, and as they were signing the documents, we discovered that there were things wrong. Okay. And so contacted them to let them know the documents were incorrect. They said they were going to have to do a redraw. So when got back to my office, they had redone everything, sent me the documents and said, here are the documents for them to sign. But they weren't specific in saying, oh, just replace these documents with the ones that were messed up, because it was a very large file.
Okay, and let me stop you really quick. Did the re-sign happen the same day?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing I always do, when they say, is a correction, I always say, do you want me to shred this copy? When I'm at the table, do you want me to shred these? Are we using these at all? I always do that. That's just a helpful thing, just a side note. And then when they send them, they gave you new docs, you went back out and did it again. And they're basically penalizing you because they sent you, I'm assuming it was a smaller package.
It didn't even seem like a smaller package. They sent the document for a 30-year loan, the original packet, when they actually had a 15. And so when they sent the paperwork, all she sent was what she corrected out without saying to swap it out, because initially I was told they were going to redraw the documents. So when I'm told redraw, what usually happens is everything is scrapped and they redo the whole entire packet. So when I got back to my office, I printed the document she sent and went right back to the signer. Then they were like, oh, well, we're missing documents. I said, well, I've printed, and they signed what was sent to me, to find out that she wasn't specific in her instructions. And I let them know that, but they still wanted to dock me, even though it was the fault on title's end.
That's the new one for me.
I've sent them numerous emails explaining this. I sent them the communication between myself and the person at title that showed that they were at fault. And at this point, they've stopped responding to any emails I sent them, and they never answer the phone.
Okay, Lisa. So I would have a suggestion. If you have Legal Shield, that's what I use when I have an issue, a payment issue with people who have contracted me to do the work. And I believe that I have evidence that they're not keeping up their end of the bargain, which is payment. That because you'll actually get an attorney on that. If you don't have Legal Shield, and of course you might want to consider having something like that to help protect you in the future. The other thing is sometimes it's good in the end, if they're just not going to pay, how much time and effort are you willing to spend? Because I don't know how much money they docked you. Before you just say, okay, I don't want to work for them anymore, and I'm going to work for other companies instead of them. We are all going to get stiffed sometime in our career. It's going to happen. It's just the nature of the risk we take when we do the work before we get paid.
Laura, unfortunately, you're right. So I know, Lisa, this is not what you want to hear. This is an excellent lesson for everybody on this call. Excellent lesson. I can almost promise you that title company is probably saying, well, Lisa should have known, because what they probably sent you was the note, the deed, the 1003, anything that went down from a 30 to the 15. And while the instructions automatically print with the loan docs might have made it look heavier than it actually was, they probably just sent you replacement docs. Should they have communicated that to you? 1,000,000,000%, absolutely. But they also probably made an assumption that you would have known to do that. And if you're not familiar, because lenders are different. We get a QuickBooks, or not QuickBooks, we get a Quicken loan package. It's like 4 pages. You're like, woo, this is great. So they expect that you have that knowledge. But I agree with Laura. If this is something you're willing to get behind, and you've got your proof, and you feel like you have a good argument, that's what Legal Shield is there for, to help you collect payment. They will probably argue this point with you, though. Just to give you a heads up, they probably will. Have they paid you anything at all, Lisa?
They paid me part of it and then docked the rest. And like I said, I've sent all proof to show that the mistake wasn't my fault. It was on the title, and that I should be paid because I went out. I drove an hour away early morning, like 7 in the morning, and I did this twice.
Yeah. In my opinion, Lisa, you should have been paid twice, because that sounds like 2 appointments.
Yeah, you should definitely get paid to go back twice. You get a second trip fee. Yeah.
But that's where they're going to fight. That's where their argument's going to come from. Just so you know, I get it's frustrating. I feel it. Go ahead, Vanessa. I'm sorry.
I want to add another piece too, because a couple of things I always see notaries miss at the table when there is something wrong. If you don't do it at the table because you don't want to talk numbers, that's fine. Do it when you get in the car. You need to make sure you ask, I always verify, am I using these docs? Do you want these docs? Do you want me to shred them? I always do that. And that would have saved a little bit of headache there too. But then if you need me to come back, how much are you paying me to come back? If I want to be paid to come back. Sometimes I don't. If it's really close, I'll say, oh, if it's somebody I work with all the time, I may say, don't worry about it. But that needs to be clear. And you need to get a new confirmation with that new order. So just going forward, always get that second confirmation with how much you're getting paid to go back, and then verify what's happening with the loan docs you have. Because I feel like, and I'm not saying that they were right or anything, but if you would ask, okay, do you want me to shred these? They would probably say, oh no, keep some of those. We need some of those. You see what I'm saying? I always ask, what do you want me to do with this package before I do anything with it?
I will definitely add that into my gamut of questions that I ask them when I have to call them. Unfortunately, this particular company, in order to even, I couldn't get, I got title on the phone that I actually spoke to, but the company, the hiring company, they never ever answer their phone. They will only respond via email. So I've never getting to talk to anyone right in the moment from the hiring company. And so it just made for with this company, I've worked for them before, and they pay you, but they kind of pay you a little slower than they should. And then at this point, they keep sending me work, but I won't take anything else from them because it's unprofessional to even not respond, even when I'm giving you proof that it wasn't my fault.
Totally. And if I could just add really quickly, because I know we're butting up on some time here, but Lisa, if you're part of Notary Reviews, Good, Bad, and Ugly with Carrie Rivera, who's on this call, notaryreviews.net, I encourage you to leave a review so that other loan signing agents get the message about this company as well. It's a private group only for loan signing agents.
Thank you for that. Notaryreviews.net.
Notaryreviews.net. Is that right, Carrie? Notaryreviews.net. Yes. I encourage you to join that group. It is invaluable.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's correct. And you can blast that company. That's my advice. Report them. Join our Facebook group as well. Let us know who that company is. Or not the title company, whoever hired you. Get them out there so that other notaries are aware, which is the goal of the group. Thanks.
All right, Lisa. Thank you very much for sharing that, because we all struggle with different things like that. I want to sneak in Cassie. I hope you have a quick question, Cassie, because it's 1 o'clock.
Yes, thank you, Laura. It's a question that Lori has asked in the chat, or Lorre, I think.
Oh.
She's in Virginia and I'm in Virginia too. And it made me think her question is about doing a buyers or sellers. She's doing one side, and there was an issue about, I guess, a blank deed. So I would probably need clarification, but my question is, I've done, one side where, let's say the buyer hasn't signed anything, or the seller, so their section is still blank. That is okay, correct? It just made me think based on her question.
So I need to make sure I understand what you're saying, which is are you talking about a grant deed? That kind of.
I'm talking about, well, I'm just talking about the full package, whether it's a buyer's or seller, right? And there's a few documents where.
All right, so here's what my opinion is on this. Remember, I'm not an attorney. Any deeds need to be complete, because they're probably going to have an acknowledgement on it. And I cannot notarize an incomplete document. So it's not okay for me to notarize a document that's missing information that belongs in there. Now, there could be case specific documents that, I wouldn't say even documents, but just case specific signings where there might be a reason that something is missing, but I see that as substantive. I don't see that as clerical. And so I would not notarize a deed, any deed, if it didn't have a person's name, if there's a place for a person's name to go. Or a company name if it was corporate, where somebody was going to sign it. But I can't imagine not doing that. So I don't know, Jen, I'm going to let you squeeze in if you have anything to add to that.
I don't.
Hey, Laura.
Okay. All right. So there's our answer, Cassie. We don't think it's okay.
Okay, I'll look back at some of my stuff and see if I can, because I don't think it's the deed. I think it's other documents where, because the buyer is not with us, I'm just doing the seller side. So
well, that means you're just only getting the signatures of the people in front of you. It doesn't mean other people aren't named in documents. You're just not collecting signatures, and blank signature lines do not create issues for notaries, because you're only collecting signatures for those who are in front of you.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you. Okay, yeah, that's
Hey,
what I
Laura.
was talking about. Thank you.
Hi, Laura.
Yes.
Can I have like 1 minute? This is Lori, and I
30
guess
seconds.
she got her question. 30 seconds. Okay. So the thing was, it was a relocation signing. The sellers were relocating and they were selling their property, but they do not have a buyer yet. So they wanted me to notarize a deed of bargain and sale that basically said that the seller was selling their property to blank, and it would be filled in. I returned it. Okay. I thought that sounded kind of fishy, but I was told it wasn't a regular loan signing and that it was a relocation signing. That's what I was told from title. And I said, well, if anything ever happened, there's a blank deed out here that can be filled in by anyone. And I notarized it and these people signed it. And that's basically what they were doing. It was going to be filled in once they found a buyer.
Okay, well, my answer doesn't change.
Got it.
But thank you very much. It is a few minutes after 1. Thank you all for hanging on as long as you did. It was fabulous to have you all here today. Thank you for your insightful questions. Thank you, Vanessa, for joining us today, and Jen for joining us today to help round out our answers. So happy to know that next week we do it again. So next Tuesday at noon, join us at 12 p.m. Pacific time. All right. Have a good week, all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.